Hello, I'm Terry, and this is the Terry Nutlub Model Railway Station. A light here for all things model railways. Now, if you've been following social media, you'll be seeing that these two and all the other collections are very much in the news today. This is indeed the Rapido Fireless Locomotive, and it's arrived after a 2-year wait. So we're going to be having a look at this, and also a couple of other little pieces that I brought from shows that are complete opposite end of the spectrum. So let's get started. Welcome back. So today, as I say, we've got the Andrew Barclay Fireless Locomotive from Rapido here. This is the lined Caledonian Blue, and it is DC silent. So it's just DC with no sound. Here we have the maroon lined version, and this is fitted with sound. So we're going to be having a go with both of them. And as a comparison, I've got this 3MT from Bachmann, which I got from a show second hand for £65. Now, I think that's a very good price to pay for a second-hand locomotive, considering it's come in the box as new with all the accessory pack still attached unopened. And I've also got these 3 Acura scale wagons. They're the MCV 21.5 ton wagons. And these came from a show second-hand, and I got those for £50. And actually did a little bit of a deal with the trader because I know him very well, and he knocked it down to 45. So basically you're looking at a very, very good price for these wagons. Again, they're as new. They've never even been out of the box. All the accessory packs with them unopened. Extremely good value. So I really want to just show you that there's really some good second-hand stuff about. There's some very good brand new stuff about. What do you do? We're going to find out. So let's just have a look and a listen to the sound one first. So we'll clear the area out the way. We're going to listen to the sound one running on the ANE controller that we had last time, and then we're going to move on and I'll reveal something about the controller as well. Let's get started. Okay, so as before, I've got the little microphone sitting there so we can hear the sounds properly. Now, when I started this, got it out of the box the first time, I have already run these just as a bit of a disclaimer. It was weirdly set with the bell ringing all the time. I'll show you that in a minute. So it's just sitting here. This is on function number 3, CV3, and I'm going to turn the sound on, and we'll just listen to the basic sound. Right, well, we've had a bit of an edit there because basically this engine's got some strange functions. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It just needs to be a little bit of getting used to. Now, I had this when I first placed the locomotive on the track. The bell was constantly ringing, which was very annoying, and it took me quite a while to turn that off. I just tried to turn the sound on with function 1, and nothing was happening at all. It was making no sound at all, and then when I've gone to move it, suddenly the sound has come on and the bell rings as it moves off. Now, it seems to have a lot of functions and sounds that are integrated into how it works. And it's all very good. It just needs a bit of getting used to. It's a little bit more advanced, possibly, than some of my more basic sound engines, where the sound is simply on and off. So let's just have a little move off and see how we go. And it's got very, very controllable speed, and we'll just move it away, and you'll see it moving. Now, today we're using the Pico Bullhead Code 75 track again with the Unifrog system of the point. And as you can see today, we've got the little bit of wire sticking out. We're going to need that for the engines that run on DC. But this locomotive is fitted with a Stay Alive, all fitted with the speaker sound. Stay Alive all comes with it, with the sound version. And it can get across that little Unifrog dead section on the point with no problem at all due to the capacitors built into it. So we go back the other way and we'll see if we can connect up with the wagon, and then I'll come back and I'll show you some of the more sounds and some of the weird, well, I think weird, little coupling, uncoupling function it has. So we go back and collect this wagon. Nice little chuff to it. For those that don't know, the idea of a fireless engine is that there's no coal fire. That, what appears to be a boiler, is just a tank that would be filled with steam from a factory. We'll slow it down and get a nice coupling up here. Very nice. Lovely. Yes, as I was saying, the tank is filled with steam from a factory, and that the used steam, after it's passed through the cylinders in the conventional way as a steam locomotive, comes out through the exhaust there. Not necessarily a chimney, more just an exhaust. The chimney is there to draw the fire on a steam locomotive. This simply has an exhaust that expels the low pressure used steam that's come out of the cylinders. It has a conventional dome where the steam would be collected and sent to the cylinders. So it was really used in factories where there was a risk of explosion and a steam engine with a fire couldn't be used. But equally, it was used in factories that had a very abundant supply of high pressure steam, of which, of course, a lot of factories did in the 1950s and 60s, where they had boilers being run from high pressure steam, even boilers that then generated steam to turn turbines to create their own electricity in large factories. And therefore, when they had pressurized steam available literally on tap, these fireless locomotives would pull up to a set point where they refueled effectively. A pipe would be connected to them, the steam fills the tank up, and they can run away for another half hour, depending on how much shunting they're doing, before the steam drops and they need to refill. Of course, not suitable for mainline, but where it's working shunting wagons in a factory, it's ideal, effectively using free energy that's in the factory. One of the earlier, what you might call now, green solutions. In fact, it was very sustainable at the time, as people would have liked to have said, if those phrases were used back in the 1940s and 50s. Indeed, these locomotives, of course, before them, they were used right from the turn of the 20th century and have been quite a common thing, used right up in industry until the 70s, as late as the 1980s in some circumstances. So we just come back and I'll go through some of the functions when it's close to the microphone so you get a proper sound of them. You hear the reverser there? Very good. We'll go very slowly over this little unifrog bit and you'll see that it doesn't hesitate at all due to the capacitor. Here we are, made it perfectly across that. Okay, so in the function, we've got a bell. We'll try that one. There we go. Now that is the continuous bell. I was actually pressing the wrong function button there. That was my mistake. That was how the locomotive came out of the box. And I really needed to turn that off because it was quite annoying. The idea of that, of course, is that as it's shunting, it's got the bell running to warn people in a factory yard. But if you like it, then that's great. Actually, that really annoys me because it's just a bit too much. We got function 4 where we've got the single bell, and function 5 where we got like a double setting off type bell. Again, just before you moved off, to warn people that the locomotive's going to move. There's a couple of other functions on there. There's a water tank. I'm going to have to use the crib sheet, as I say. Going to have to grab down here, get my little checklist. Comes with some very nice instructions. We got some heavy mode, shunting modes. There's a weird one on there, F7. Now, you may have experienced this with some of your locomotives. I certainly haven't. It's a new one to me. F7 is coupling, uncoupling. Now, I thought that was going to be the sound of a chain or something like that, coupling hook being put on or off a wagon. And I pressed it and there's no sound at all. Then went to move away, nothing at all. Couldn't work out what was happening. Again, I've had a few problems with this A&E controller. Not that it's a fault necessarily with the controller, it's just the buttons and the way I was pressing them. Thought something's gone wrong here. Went back, I'd put the speed up to 28, took the function 7 off, and suddenly it goes tearing off. So it's like a way of inhibiting the locomotive from moving while you, the modeler, are physically coupling or uncoupling the locomotive. Bit of a strange one to me. Calling it coupling, uncoupling, I suppose that's a way of calling it. It's like a neutral, don't move function. Why you would want that and not just use the controller, I don't know. Maybe some people out there watching do use that. We've got coasting, we've got recharge reservoir, which is quite a good one. That's function 9. I'll let you hear that. Little sound of them opening the valve to let the steam in. Very good. You can hear the steam going in now. Really good. Turn that off. And again, you've got the valve closing at the end. You can hear them doing up the hand wheel to close the gate valve to shut the steam off. Very good. There's a coasting function. We've got injectors. We can hear that. Quite quiet being a small engine, and of course not working on exactly the same principles as a conventional steam engine, but you can hear the injectors there. You've got a safety valve, and it has a safety valve obviously in the same way as a normal steam engine would. If it was overfilled at the filling point, the safety valve would blow. You could possibly use that in conjunction with the filling and make a very realistic, or turn up again. Even though I've turned that off now, it's still going. So we've got, I'm going to turn it up again. So we've got, there we go, finally. It's taking the show over. Water tank filling. Sorry, this is dragging on a bit. I'm just trying to let you hear some of the sounds. On this version, there is a little water tank at the side, like an auxiliary water tank. The Caledonian Line Blue one doesn't have a water tank. As you can hear the water going in when you've had enough. Turn it off. Splash of water. And they've had enough. Then we've got fade out and shunt mode. So that's it. We haven't got sort of guards talking to each other or people chatting as you have on some other sound profiles. As I've said before, that doesn't bother me. I find them a little bit gimmicky, but again, if you like them, then that's great. So they're trying to cater for everyone, but you just got the basic sort of sounds that you get in a yard. Right, sorry there, we had a little drop out with the camera stopped recording for some weird reason, so we're back. I've just turned the sound back on, and as you can hear, it comes back with that ringing bell constantly. So I'm going to turn that off for the moment. There we go. And we're just going to turn it back on. We'll just do a little bit of realistic shunting with the bell running, collect those other wagons and run back. Word of warning, I've already done this, but it didn't come out on the camera, so we'll do it again. Okay, annoying bell, here we go. Double press into forward. Hear the reverser go. Here we go. Very slow, very controllable shunting engine. As I say, as you'd expect. We'll just come up, get those other two wagons and run it back. Excellent. I do like the little reverser lever every time you change from forward to reverse. Okay, back we go. I think we're going to turn that bell off. I think we've heard that bell now. Excellent. We'll just have a little double bell before we set off. Great. Still got to learn how to work this controller. Now I turn the power up to 10 there, and it gradually starts to move off. Quite a bit of inertia set into it, as a lot of these DCC engines have got. And as I say, that's great. It's all controllable through the CVs, the inertia, the volume, everything. I think that's just about the right volume for me at the moment. Possibly it could be a bit annoying, certainly with that bell. Again, through the CVs, I'm sure you can turn the volume of the bell down individually. Haven't gone into all of that yet. Very good. Of course, the Acura scale wagons for £45 for the 3, fantastic value. Can't argue with that at all. Very pleased with all of that. As I say, let's clear this away, and we're going to put the lime blue Caledonian engine on the track now. It's DC. We're going to have a little swap about, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Let's get on to that. Right, so change things about a bit, and I'll explain why. Earlier on, just to have a quick test that everything ran out the box before I put it on camera, I had this line Caledonian one. As I say, it's DC silent, so it's just running on analog. And I was running it on the A&E controller because, as I said in the episode with those two Class 31s, that controller can operate DCC and DC analog from the same controller. However, this particular engine really doesn't like that controller. It's got a coreless motor, I would assume, inside. I haven't taken it apart. It's brand new. I don't want to be ripping it apart and voiding my warranty at the moment. And some cordless motors don't respond particularly well to certain controllers. Certainly this one was making a very weird buzzy noise with that controller, so I thought I'd try another controller, and I've got the conventional Bachmann controller, the easy, not the easy command because that's DCC, but the easy, whatever they call it, Bachmann DC controller. It's about £50. You can buy them new still. I find them very good value for money. Of course, you could equally use Gauge Master Combi or something of that nature. And with that, it works great. It's very controllable, and the buzzy noise is gone. So again, not a criticism of that A&E controller, but in this example, it's not particularly compatible with the coreless motor fitted to this Rapido engine. As I say, certainly not criticising the Rapido engine. I think it's just one of the weird anomalies with that A&E controller. So on the conventional analog DC Bachmann, as you can see, nice and smooth. This is not quite so smooth, being DC, of course. Needs a bit of running in. These are straight from the box. We've got the wire operating the Unifrog frog. Obviously, if I was to change the direction of the point, still hesitated a tiny bit there. Turn the power up, going very slowly. Aha! Try actually changing the blades. No. Now, what I have done there, of course, is connected the lead to the wrong side. So I've created a short circuit. And now I've pulled the track apart. So we'll have another quick break. Not going very well with this, is it? We'll have another quick break, and I'll come back and do that all again. We'll try it again, eh? Right, take two. We've actually put the track back, connected the wire to the Unifrog the correct way round. Of course, when working these Unifrog points, you'd have to have the frog switchable via the actual switch, however the mechanism works that change the direction of the point blades. And in a later episode, we're going to be going into that, not just doing it with a point motor, but doing a mechanical way of doing it with a push rod and a mechanical way of changing the polarity on that Unifrog. But we're going to do that in another episode because I want to talk about Unifrog points and Electrofrog points and how we can improve Pico track with a little gadget I got at a show a few months back. So anyway, let's just carry on because we're talking about the Rapido Fireless Locomotive. we'll have another go, and it's going to go across the point this time with the correct polarity. Having the polarity round the wrong way certainly will stop any DC engine. Let's have another go. Oh, hesitation. There we go. Crash. Bit extreme there. We'll do that one again. That was me again. There we go. Now, obviously, it's not as gentle and as slow starting as the DCC version. Not a fault with the engine. It just needs running in. I really had it running beautifully slow. I'm going to bring that back actually in a minute just to prove that it can run very slowly. I think where it had stopped on the point there with the short circuit, something had come to a bit of a jarring stop in it. We'll just do that again, and I'm sure it will move off much smoother this time. If it doesn't, it will prove me wrong, of course. There we go. A little bit hesitation, and then it's a little bit sort of stop-start as it goes. Again, it's DC as opposed to DCC. It's not got that feedback controller from the chip working the motor. But as you can see, with the frog in the correct polarity, it goes across that unifrog point, no problem. Very controllable, just needs a bit of running in. So that's all we can really show with that. As I say, I'm going to put these on the turntable and we're going to have a little bit of music going. I'm going to shut up and you can just have a look and see what you think. It's not for me to tell you to buy these. Let's just have a last little look at this other engine, and then we're going to have a little sum up and say why I've actually incorporated that in this little collection. Right, so just to sum it up, what's it all about? Little Desmond's to come down just off the shelf here to join in right at the last bit as usual. He hasn't got a lot to say in a minute, has he, really? Because it's not very dangerous, is it? Wait till we start soldering. Oh, he'll love that. Right, what's it all about? You're going to say, why are we here? What's all this about? Why am I showing you all of this? Well, like I say, those two Fireless engines, I just thought I'd like to show you the difference between the DC and the one with sound, the DCC with sound. It's nothing new. We've seen stuff with sound before, and these two engines I ordered 2 years ago. The sound one, I can't remember the exact prices I've paid now. I think that was around £200. The DC one was about 110, something like that, 115. So they're not the cheapest engines. I'm very pleased with them, and I've got a use for both of them. They're going to be appearing on a little layout quite shortly. This whole setup that I've used a couple of times now for showing you, I'm going to actually make a little diorama. I'm not going to be using this ball head track as much as I love it. I'm going to be using the code 75 Pico Electrofrog points, because I want to show you how to wire those up. I've been asked several times by people very recently about wiring up stuff with the Electrofrog points and do you insulate them, etc, etc. I want to go through that. I want to show you how to improve the track with this little gadget I've got, and I'd like to make a little diorama to show you week by week as we build it, laying the track and everything else. With the foam layout we jumped ahead a little bit, I didn't show you everything, and I'm not going to promise to show you every single piece, but I want to show you the underside with the solid foam layout. The points work from the top. With this diorama, it's going to have a little low back so that you can see me. You probably don't want to, but you're going to see my ugly face sticking over the top of it, and I'm going to be telling you all about it, and we can be testing locos, doing all sorts of stuff with it. Of course, it's 00 gauge, as is everything here. As I say, I've waited 2 years for this. I got that at the show for 65. I got these wagons for 45. What's the point, you're saying? Well, what is he rambling on about? The point I'm trying to say, as usual, is that model railways are for everyone. Everyone can join in. You don't have to spend huge amounts of money and order stuff and wait 2 years and get brand new stuff. If you want to, you can. There is so much out there, second hand, that is, as I say, modern quality. Not old stuff from the 50s and 60s. You can pick that up now for 20 quid. If that's where you want to spend and you're happy with that, then that's fantastic. But for £65, I'm so pleased with that. The detail is absolutely up to modern standards. It runs great. Effectively, it's like having a new engine for £65. And that version is still available, brand new from Bachmann. Add £100 onto it. That's the sort of price you're paying. So by buying it second hand with no actual issues, with no problems at all, maybe just run it in for an hour. That's all you're going to have to do. You've saved yourself £100. Same with these wagons. They only came out a few months ago. Someone's bought them. Someone's got bored with them. They weren't what they wanted. They've traded them back in, and I've benefited. I have benefited. Can't even speak tonight. Don't know what's wrong with me. I'm the one who's benefited from them. And this is the point I'm trying to say to you. There's so much stuff available second hand. If you want to buy new stuff, then great. You got the money, great. You go and order it, you go and buy it. I'm certainly pleased with these Rapido engines. I really am falling apart tonight, aren't I? I really am pleased with these Rapido engines. Absolutely delighted with them. Were they worth the 2 year wait? To me, yes. But if you want to get second hand stuff, that's all about. Why 00 all the time? Everything's 00. You keep saying, oh, I can hear you talking from the other end of the camera. Why is everything 00? Well, that's because we started in 00. But we don't have to, do we? We can move on to something else. And that is one of the main 4 mistakes that people who start with a train set continue with. So in the next episode, we're going to be looking at different scales, different gauges, and we're going to be looking at the 4 main mistakes that people make when they've got a train set and think, what do I do now? So if you want to see that, that's going to be out next week after this. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. As I've said in many episodes before, all of this comes from my pocket. We're not subsidised, we're not sponsored by anybody. I buy all of this for myself, but I'd like to show it to you as well. Everything here is me. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone. I'm not promoting stuff. I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's free to view. It always will be. There's no subscriptions. You're never going to have to pay for this. It's always going to be free to you. All I ask is that you like and subscribe. That's free to you, and it really helps me out with YouTube. So, yet again, like and subscribe, share to someone else. Just the last thing left from me and Desmond is our catchphrase, which you know it by now. Nice one. I'll see you next time.